I mean, Overwatch is still fun.
It's Jover. The goal is just to make LAN, right?
Pacific teams play better in LAN. Every single one of our official and scrims, someone is definitely on 100 ping or above. So when you go to LAN environment, it's definitely way easier.
If anyone can come in clutch for a team, it'd be probably Colourhex.
I think Kairen, he's a Thai Winston. You don't really get to see that. One jump, one death Winston. They're like 40 years
Yo,
old. I think the season is going to be a lot more upsets.
it's kind of a reset in our region where like the power level has gone down a lot. I saw he was playing. I saw he was playing Sojourn in scrims versus Edison the other day.
Gapped him twice.
I think the main strength of this team is like flexibility. We face it with Hypnotic on tank. Our backline can pretty much play anything, and our DPS can pretty much play anything as well. We're quite confident we have a very flexible hero pool. But the question is, can we compete internationally? Because we have done so in Australia pretty well.
Every time we play the Koreans, it's always on Korean server. So maybe this time they can play us on Singapore server. Let's see how it goes, no?
Hello, and welcome to rXis's OWCS Pacific Stage 1 preview. I am here with, just like last time, some of the brightest minds in Pacific. We've upgraded from last year, having 2 managers and a benched player, to a manager, a coach, and a player who's not on the bench. We love you, Mememachine, but we've upgraded. I'm joined here
Hopefully
today.
Overshake doesn't be on the bench this stage.
that's gonna be a question for later.
It's a history of not playing, you know.
I just
Not
love
finishing
being
the
benched,
season.
Yeah, so I have here with me today Joel, the head coach for, I mean, it's I think it's out at this point. Like, WDG posted the roster, like it's on Wikipedia. The head coach for Antic x Odium in OWCS Pacific. We've got rXis, the manager or general manager, or just manager.
Just team manager.
Team manager for 99 Divine and
I
Overshake.
don't own the team anymore. GG.
and the Overshake support player for Full House. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining me. We're gonna jump right into things. A couple days ago, or last week, I filmed an interview with Romani and Colourhex from Miku Fan Club, and at that point in time, the news had come out that there was going to be no official broadcast for the Pacific regular season. That has fortunately been amended, and y'all and your teammates, your colleagues, deserve a lot of credit for pressuring Blizzard and WDG to make that happen and showing that people do care about Pacific. So we are going to have an actual broadcast for the regular season matches, only in Thai, but you know, we take things where we can get them, and I'm not even sure they had a Thai broadcast last year, so...
No, they had.
They did? Oh.
They had for Asia playoffs. I mean,
Yeah.
they had just for WCS Asia. I don't think they had it for Pacific, but for Asia they did.
That's cool. More opportunities for Thai casters, and the Thai scene is definitely good, but I think we do need to also address the change that was made to the Asia format in terms of the Asia regional playoffs, where last year the top 2 teams from Japan and Pacific got to go to Korea to compete on LAN against the Korean teams, and this year that competition is going to take place online. And I know that that's something that, you know, has definitely put a bit of a damper on things. Or obviously, I should clarify, you still have the opportunity to make the final LAN held in Korea, but to do that, you'd have to beat one of the Korean teams, which is difficult. Obviously not impossible, but certainly difficult. What was y'all's reaction to that change when it was announced?
It's Jover, like I mean, like last year, we the goal is just to make LAN, right? For any of these like Pacific or Japanese teams, and making like an offline event would just be huge, because you get that extra money going into the Asia main event stage, and also you get to play an offline event, which not a lot of teams get the opportunity to, especially from a minor region. But especially now, since like it's harder to qualify for these events, I think like I see a lot of teams that have that have downsized, and like a lot of people have stopped like competing this year as well.
I mean, like, usually I think Pacific teams play better in LAN simply because like online, every single one of our official and scrims are always like someone is definitely on 100 ping or above. So when you go to LAN environment, it's definitely way easier. You get to scrim on 0 ping, get to play on 0 ping. That's why you can see like High Vision making like pop-off moments at EWC and Asia, which wouldn't be possible because usually he's just playing on 100 ping all the time. And especially this year, you have to fight the top Korean teams on ping. Like my team R3K is gonna be on the UK. Like how is it possible that he's gonna like in hazard meta play against Jumbin on 200 ping? It wouldn't even be close in the first place. And this time like you have to play on ping. And every time we play the Koreans, it's always on Korean server. So maybe this time they can play us on Singapore server. Let's see how it goes, no? I mean, we probably still get rolled, but why not?
I
Take
think
him on home
John
turf.
Pork has got it. John Pork has got it for sure. You know.
Yeah. With that like kind of goal of making the LAN being made significantly harder, what motivates you all to kind of keep competing in the region?
I mean, Overwatch is still fun. Maybe EWC. I mean, EWC is still possible at the middle of the year, right? If they still do 16 teams, there might be opportunity for SCA team to qualify there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, last year, they had one pack and one OCE, right? So, or just banking on whether EWC provides qualification opportunity for us. If not, just I don't know, GG's.
Yeah. But it definitely seemed pretty bleak last week, and I think it might not feel great right now, but it definitely the outlook definitely seems better than it was even a week ago in terms of competing in the Pacific region. So I want to start talking about the teams that are competing in this competition, and we've definitely got a pretty wide variety of competitors, different countries, different play styles, different levels of experience. So I want to start off with our sort of, not officially, but like basically the team that's sort of the Hong Kong, Taiwan representative, kind of carrying the torch of that scene that has been significantly depleted in the last about 2 years, but with some players that have a good bit of experience under their belt. So MENG 2, the player that I think the most people kind of think about when they look at this team is Kurumi. They might remember him from World Cup or from OWCS last year, a very talented hit scan player. Joel, how do you think this meta favors somebody who's like a really hard hit scan player like Kurumi?
I mean, to be fair, like I don't know that team that well, so I probably can't comment that much. But I think with the ban system, like teams that have a lot of like heroes available at their disposal and they can rotate players to see fit, I think that will benefit those teams. So I think there's a lot of teams out there that might be locked into like one or two heroes. So I think those teams where you can abuse those things, who knows, you could go their way on that match day. But in terms of players themselves, I don't know. I'm looking at their roster now. I don't know many of those players. Kurumi is someone I heard of, but I'm probably not qualified to talk about him specifically. So maybe Overshake or rXis might have a better idea, to be honest.
I know rXis, you and I have gone back and forth on Kurumi many a time on whether
I heard they
he's...
play a lot of I heard they play a lot of off meta. I don't know, James, do you scrim them? Because my team didn't
lost to
scrim
those
them before.
motherfuckers in groups, like
You did. They do play a lot
Yeah.
of meta, right? They play I don't know how to pronounce their name. Nessie, Nesso, NSESL. He likes to
I've
play a
been
lot
saying
of
like
Zaya.
Incessal, but I don't know. If
They
that's
play
right.
a lot of Zarya, I think. And then yeah. I know
Yeah.
Moon is like a strong Ana player on their team, so like I think that they'd be pretty like decent at like Winston comps. I think they do want to play like there's like dive maps where like it enables like Kurumi on Widow and stuff like that. But
yeah. Incessal had a pretty good a pretty decent Winston when he was on Namakuji Brothers, which is where some of y'all might have heard of him before. He was the replacement for Nozzle, except he wasn't a hog player and was just sort of a normal tank player. And that's another thing I'm looking at with this team is going from Incessal going from a team that was a little more silly to one that is pretty serious. Is that something that how do you think a player like that kind of adapts to a different sort of team environment?
I mean, I'm pretty sure last stage Namakuji brother wasn't a 1-trick team. They're just like not good. But like,
I think they had some one trick still. I think it was like a mix, but I might be misremembering.
I think it's around the same, like level of play from Japan and Pacific is around the same at this level. So like just how hard can your Koreans carry you? But this team is a bit weird. Actually, it's a bit funny because like all three of their DPS is from one country, their two tanks is from another country, and their two supports is from another country.
It's very aesthetically pleasing when you look on Wikipedia.
Yeah, but I think they wasted like I don't know why they have two imports on tank. Seems like a waste to me, especially like since most
Hey,
teams
you'd know
are
about
opting
that,
for one
won't
tank
you?
these days. Yeah, I mean it's weird. I don't know.
Yeah, Overshake, it seemed like you're familiar with the support line of this squad. I had never heard of either of these players, Moon and Cow, the Taiwanese backline. Are you familiar with them at all from the past or the present?
I just know Moon. He's like pretty decent on flex support. Like I think I know he's like strongest as character is like Anna, but
Anna and Curie, yeah.
yeah, Anna and Kiri. But I'm not really familiar with the roster themselves. I just know that I
I
lost to
mean,
them. So
yeah. I mean, Moon has been around for years, but I don't know who's Cow. James, do you know who Cow is?
I no clue.
I've never heard of Cow.
Yeah. And then like actually I think Kurumi is like the third DPS in this meta because I'm pretty sure Miku and Despair has been playing a lot more. I think Despair is pretty decent. He was pretty decent when
I
I used to watch like
Despair,
Team Hong Kong scrims. He was pretty decent. He was like their tracer specialist, but like on officials they played Xiaolian a lot more because it was kind of the meta suited him more. But Despair is really good like tracer and the flyers. Yeah, he's known for his flyers as well.
Tracer and Echo just both got buffed, and we've definitely been seeing in the bits of competition that we've seen since that patch came out, more teams playing Echo, more teams playing Tracer. I want to move on to the next squad. I want to talk about a team called Trap 12. This squad, the players, I mean, this is definitely, I'd say, probably the lowest profile team in terms of just having players that you might have heard of. I'm seeing a lot of Australian flags on here. Joel, or what is there anything you can tell us about any of these players? I know these are people who have been kind of around Face It League Australia in the last year.
Yeah, so I think these players have been around for ages. I think Pugs and people from console. So I was kind of, when I looked at who qualified this season, I was kind of surprised that they managed to get through. But they've been around for ages, so maybe it's their turn to kind of prove some people wrong. But I know Regret, he's someone who he's in demand quite heavily at the moment to join teams. He's got a lot of offers at the moment, so yeah, he's someone to look out for this season. I think Regret, he's one of the DPS from Australia that I think a lot of people are keeping an eye on for sure. But he's been around for ages as well. Tropical, I haven't heard of Tropical. He came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I'd never heard of him. I remember I even asked Pugs, I was like, who's Tropica? And he was like, he's brand new. So
Pugs and Beeple have been playing together for a while. I think they know each other really well. So I think if anything's going something for them, it'd probably be a synergy. But yeah, they're probably relatively new. And looking at some of the players across other teams, they're going to have their work cut out for them for sure. But it'll be exciting for them individually to experience their first international competition.
Yeah. Esteban is a player on this team that has been on my radar for a little bit as one of the sort of tanks coming out of like tier 3 in Korea. I know he was kind of looking at a bunch of teams in like Japan and Pacific. It was a pretty coveted import. I remember him from a team called Venom. If any of you have heard of that squad, they were kind of around very low tier 2, tier 3 Korea. Don't know anything about his hero pool. Just know that like he's done pretty well in some things. And also shout out Pugs, who like a month or two ago asked me what players in like Pacific and Korea would be good to form a team with.
He messaged everyone, I think. He messaged me too.
He was like, who's good? And I actually think I mentioned Esteban. So there you go. I'm not taking credit for that, but
no, you can't.
I can't because I don't think he picked Esteban. I think he was brought on to the team that he was already on. But yeah, I think I definitely get the sense that like especially compared to last stage in Pacific, the weakest team seems stronger than it was last year. Like, I feel like Trap 12 is going to be a lot better than Goon Squad was, you know? You're raising your eyebrow.
Wasn't Goon
Yeah,
Squad.
I think
Goon Squad had my goats, dude. Goon Squad had my goats. They had
True.
They had Skill Ender, my Indian goat.
Where'd he go?
yeah. I mean, after including Australia, like I
Ender
really
got
think like
0-3 in qualifiers, so
yeah.
yeah. Don't know
I mean,
about that one.
after including Australia, like I really think like the super bottom teams, like I think last year it was like top three, like just like um dogfighting each other for like
Yeah.
the two slots, and then like after that all the other teams are like hopeless. But now like I think like the lower teams, like they have like upgraded their rosters a lot more. Like Koreans are importing are like getting imported to like other teams, and there's like a lot of like decent Australians that are like filling like the lack of player base in like Southeast Asia. So I think the season is going to be
It's
a
really good.
lot more upsets. Yeah.
Four out of the four teams have Australians in them.
Yeah.
3 of them have majority Australians, so it's pretty good to see.
Yeah. It's a good balance. I think
That's
there's
nice.
exactly the same number of Australian and Thai players, which is I just find that very very pleasing that it's perfectly
I
balanced.
feel like the level of play is around the same, no? In fact, I feel like the top three
Probably.
teams level of play has gone down, no? Because everyone is like
Yeah.
taking it less seriously.
Mhm.
I mean, like Full House had Who Are You and PA Saze last season.
Yeah.
Bleed had Marker and Sungan. You don't see that same level of like imports anymore, right?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
I feel like level
most
play
of
has gone down.
the Korean players here are either kind of tier 3 people who have been like Niang, who's played in OCE and Pacific forever, and like I think CARU kind of stands out as like probably the highest caliber import player, and we'll get to him when we talk about your squad, Overshake. I want to move on now to talking about another one of the kind of maybe lower level teams, but this one kind of representing the Thai side of the equation. So Fade Altair is a name that anybody, y'all have probably seen for years. They've been around. They've competed in all 3 stages now of OWCS Pacific, doing about the same each time, but these players have been together for a while. I think a team like that maybe benefits from the change to a round robin format, getting more matches out there, more gameplay on tape, more opportunities to prove themselves and try and take maps off of teams, take matches. Do you think there's any possibility for improvement over previous performances, Ryan?
Oh, me? I mean,
Yeah,
if you want to talk about the level of bottom being up, I mean, Fate are like the gatekeepers, right? They always manage to qualify, but always around the bottom, sort of like Vesta crew in Korea, right? I mean, they are always like qualifying pretty convincingly. I think this time the qualifiers they qualified pretty convincingly too. They even took a map off your team, right, James, in the qualifiers?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think they are probably like around the same, but they're just like the gatekeepers. But I think more match experience will definitely help them a lot more. I mean, this time they have a third support, Chat Chai. His team, he actually played with Skill Ender in the qualifiers for a team with Atmosphere. I watched his stream.
Is he any good?
Honestly, like he's like a Lucio one trick.
Okay.
And
I feel like
I
we're
don't
lacking.
think he's that good.
I feel like we're lacking Lucio players in the region.
But I think he plays a lot more. I like his attitude, personality. So, but he's not that good. But I think he can improve during the season. Yeah.
I mean, like you were saying, the more opportunities is going to be beneficial for that. I don't think you get the same kind of growth from just scrims as you do from actually playing. And obviously, the other name that I think people should really be paying attention to here is Kairen, who has been sort of the like next potential good tank player from Thailand for kind of a while. And I think at least I feel like I've been waiting for him to have kind of a breakout performance that actually shows some of the potential that some people have talked about him having. Overshake, you said you played their team in qualifiers. How did they look?
I think we lost more because we played bad. I don't we're not really like afraid of like Fade as a team, I think, but I do think their better players are like probably like Kairen and like Shake It.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Kairen, he's a Thai Winston, not you don't really get to see that.
You sure?
Especially
How about Rock Tang Te and Tita Wat, the goats of Thailand? No.
yeah, just one jump, one death Winstons, they're like
Yo.
40 years old. Like but yeah, like to have that like young up and comer like main tank player that I think he's also pretty flexible. Like he can play like the other characters as well. Like that's really like something to look at. And yeah, if you're looking to build like a full like local roster, I think he's one of the guys to call up, especially if you're Thai. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I mean, Kairen has been farming the Mickey Mouse Thai tournaments in the off season. Look at his Wikipedia, man.
Hey, farm me in the
Yeah.
Thai community, in like the
No,
Pacific
in my
community.
tournament. That was my tournament.
Yeah,
That's
that
not
was your
Thai.
tournament. That was your tournament.
So I want to move on now to Miku Fan Club. We're not going to spend too much time on this, if only because we rXis, we did a full video with Colourhex and Romani from that squad. But I think this is potentially I think they're the biggest wild card here in terms of kind of feast or famine, because they don't scrim, but they also have some of the most experienced and talented players in the region. So Joel, like, how good do you think like Neuu and Aki and Frogger are in 2025?
I mean, I think they're still going to be as good as last season. I think, you look at, as you said, you look at the players on that roster and it's, it can be quite scary. So I think they're definitely going to be, up there with top two contention. I think them and 99 Divine are probably the teams you kind of look at as teams to beat. And obviously I'm good mates with Aki, and Nyang's been hanging out with some of the Antic boys as well. So I've got to know him a little bit more. And yeah, I think they're explosive. I think if the meta is right for them, and if you miss the bans against them, I think it's gonna be really, really tough. And Colourhex can pretty much play anything. So I think they're literally going. You know what you're gonna get out of them. They're consistent, so it's gonna be hard to beat them.
I think Chex has to play tank for the first 4 weeks though. I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys saw Romani's tweet, right?
Romani is
Yeah.
injured.
Been nerfed.
Out of commission for like 4 weeks. Like get well soon. He has like a fracture in his finger. Is really
Yeah.
rough, man. Like can't play like
Sucks.
for a whole month is crazy. But I think that'll be interesting.
manage.
I'm pretty sure they'll lock in before playoffs. But like Colourhex is like champion on all roles as well.
Yeah.
I think my worry is that probably that with Colourhex playing tank, they have two hard hit scan players, Neuu and Yang. So
Doesn't Yang play like Genji and stuff? Or I feel like
I
I've
mean,
seen
Yang
him on
has
Genji.
played Tracer before, but
Yeah.
I think over the recent years, he's kind of just been a hard hit scan player.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Yang would probably be
The one
player
who
would flex
flex,
around.
yeah.
Well, actually, no. Neu's he plays a little bit of those for insurers. I think. But,
Neuu played Genji in Jote's
Yeah.
meta, right?
Mm.
yeah, I think if anyone can come in clutch for a team, it'd be probably Colourhex. Like,
Yeah.
That guy's
you can play any role and perform.
that guy's done just about everything you can in,
I mean,
in Overwatch at this
He
point.
played tank in Aurora Cup. Like,
Mm.
yeah.
Because I know he won Contenders Australia, I think, playing Junker Queen.
Yeah.
I do wonder, like, do you think, having to sub Romani in on tank unexpectedly, do you think they're going to stick to playing a couple of things, or kind of just have him play? Like, do you think we're going to see Colourhex on Winston, or Ramatra or Sigma? Or do you think he'll stick to more kind of mechanically oriented heroes like a Junker Queen or a Zarya?
I guess time will tell. I think he's played Winston before,
I'm sure.
and they'll make it work. And I think when Romani, if and when Romani comes back in, like, they've played together before, so it'll be pretty seamless for them, anyways.
And
I think it's not about checks, but what about what the rest of his team wants to play. Because
right,
checks is a smart player, he can play everything. He'll just fail.
because that's another thing of like this team can't at least in this current with Romani being out, this team can't really play like something like on a brig or really anything but Lucio. I think like Frogger's definitely the least flexible player on the team. I can't remember seeing him on anything but Lucio, maybe Juno like once or twice, but other than that, there are worse characters to one trick, I think, but that'll definitely be somewhat of a limiting factor for him.
It's fine. I'm sure he can play Mercy or something, no?
I don't know.
Yep.
That might be that might be worse, no?
I mean, what are you gonna do if Lucio is banned?
True.
Initially, like if Lucio banned, I was thinking that they sub checks in for support, right? But they can't do that anymore for only the first 4 weeks. But I think it's
Frogger on
fine
tank.
because
No,
because
here's what they'll do.
it's just
They'll put Neuu on tank, they'll put Frogger on DPS, and then they'll put Colourhex on support.
okay, but actually, like I don't think it matters
sounds
because like
horrendous.
they don't scrim anyway, right? So it's not
Right.
gonna affect them. They just need to get through the first 4 weeks, which is 4 matches, and they definitely will qualify for playoffs. And after you go playoffs, it's single limb, so you just have to like just lock in during that time. And I'm sure they can.
It'll definitely depend somewhat on luck of like who they get in those first couple of weeks when Romani is out of commission. Because I could
I mean,
definitely
they play
see
like they
you
play.
know, it's somebody like
Actually, in the
MENG
first
or
3
Full
weeks,
House
they'll
could probably
play.
catch them off guard if they're undermanned. No,
Yeah. In
maybe
the first 3 matches, I think they do play 99 Divine and Full House. Because I think,
that's
like James, second week they play y'all, right? And then third week I know they play us. So yeah.
Yeah.
those are that's rough because those are matches that like I would give them a much better chance of being able to potentially win if they had their full roster at full strength. That's definitely a bit of a rough draw. So speaking of Full House, Overshake, this is your time to step into the spotlight. So I have one big question, which is how did Erikek end up here on this team?
So, Eric was looking to play in Pacific ever since like last year,
Why?
and um, I I guess he was bored or something. I don't. I think it all started because Spook contacted Eric asking if he was looking to play in APAC, and then Eric was like, you know what, sure, I'll try. And I think like they were trying to make like their own team back then. I forgot the name of it, but it was like I remember they were trialing like Europe, a lot of players from Europe.
Yeah. I think it might have been 3-2-1 diving, right?
Oh yeah, 3-2-1 diving, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I remember they were I think the plan was like Eric was trying to get level 1 Crook to join as well.
Yes, I remember that.
And then it was gonna be Joe and Proxies on DPS and Spook on main support or something like that. But then like that eventually fell through and then Eric went back to Europe. But um early last year before like or sorry, later last year, like after stage 1, uh stage 2 when we were like looking to build a roster for stage 2, so it was me, Speed, and Ray Momo on Full House, and then
Mhm.
we're looking to get and I think it was Eric and Jimmy actually.
Ooh.
Yeah. So the those were like the 5 that were looking to play together, but um that was like before any announcement of the season came out, where we were wondering like if Chinese players could compete as imports in
I
OWCS
mean, I told you
Pacific.
guys it wouldn't,
Yeah.
but Spook
So
didn't want to believe me, so.
so yeah, and then like we found out that we couldn't, so that plan went away, and then we got FaZe and Who Are You for that season. But now he's back for round 3, finally competing in APAC.
As he's always dreamed of.
Yeah, like as is always dreamed of.
So he has to be on pretty hefty ping, right?
Yeah. So I think he's on like 180 or 200 or something, but
That's
he
that's a
manages.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose there are worse roles to be on high ping than tank, but is that like, do you see the effects of that in his gameplay or in communication or scrims at all, or?
Not really. I think he does okay on the ping. Maybe like you know, maybe like those like surprise like sudden like kill catches or trades like don't happen like when he's on hazard, because like it's like a really like mechanically demanding hero, and like ping can kind of get in the way with that, but I don't necessarily think so.
Yeah, and you've also brought in another player sort of coming back from a bit of a hiatus in Ju, who was also on that 3-2-1 diving squad.
Yep.
How did he come back to this roster?
Ju Shui.
Ju Shui. No, Ju Shui's infected, remember? That's
No,
that's
his
his alt
account called
account.
Ju. He has a Ju has an account called Ju Shui too, dude.
That's
Yeah, like
awesome.
JOO share.
I see.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it's Joe, not Jew. I don't know.
Whoops, my bad.
His
Sorry.
name is Joseph. So like,
Joe
we
would
always-
I don't know why.
My bad,
We always
Joe.
call him Jew. We always call him Jew.
Jew.
No, it's stuck.
Now they call him Jew now.
Yeah, I
boy.
call him Jew.
Oh my god, so fucked.
But yeah, I asked him to play for like rXis's community tournament. And then I think like after playing a bit, we're like, okay, like should we like try and get this roster to play for OWCS? And then eventually it was just me and him, at the end, carrying the torch. But yeah, I guess that's how it came about.
Yeah.
Who was even
and
your team there, Don?
It was me, Flicky Minaj,
Where's
Huto Kung.
Flicky?
Huto, right?
Where's Flicky this stage? I'm
He's
so
playing
sad.
Marvel.
He's playing.
Yeah.
Everyone's off
The
playing.
worst game.
He
Yeah,
would have
just
been
bunch
like
of Marvel
my
Corpus.
yeah, he would have been on the team if like if he didn't want to like play Marvel. I heard he uninstalled Overwatch. He's actually a really sick DPS player.
Yeah, no,
that,
he was good.
yeah.
Even on.
Yeah, he hasn't had the chance to really prove himself, but I really think he's good.
Yeah, I don't know. Players like these is like, I don't know what to say. I guess like they don't really take like competitions that seriously, probably. It's fine, but they're good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in SCA are like that,
They sort of go in and out.
just
Kinda.
just chill guys. Yeah, I mean like it's like the same with Joe. It's
Chill
like,
guys.
and Mememachine is the same thing. Like just
It's like
play one season,
maybe
see
I'll
the
play.
mood. I have the
Maybe
mood
I
to play
won't.
this stage.
You know,
Mememachine
yeah.
is a
play,
phenomenal
just lock it
player.
for a few months.
Yeah.
I mean, even Overshake is just like, I just want to play. I just sit on the bench. One season is like, I'm ready to lock in.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, nah, I'm not in the mood.
So speaking
Right?
speaking of Overshake, and the bench, who is going to be starting on support for this squad? Is it going to be you
Actually,
or
that's a
Yonko,
secret.
or it's a secret? I see.
I'm
Strategic
bringing my notebook
secret.
out over Shake.
I mean,
What'd
look
you
at the
say, Joe?
meta. Look at the
Recordings.
I mean, it's probably gonna be me, right? Like if CARU is gonna be in like 100% of the time, they
Right.
need like a Korean to talk to him, so that he doesn't get lonely and wants to like jump.
True,
I
yeah.
mean, yeah. I mean, James and Yunko have like completely different hero pool now. I mean, because like James is like Lucio, and then Yunko is like Brick, because Yunko wasn't really a support player. They just forced him to play support last season because James fucking bailed, right?
Yeah, medical issues,
Is there a possibility that we might see Yonko go back to playing some tank, especially like some of the off tank stuff that is less in Erikek's hero pool, like Diva and stuff, or is he fully committed to support now?
Maybe. I mean, he's fully committed to League of Legends from the looks of it. But
I mean, I saw he was playing. I saw he was playing Sojourn in Scrims versus Edison the other day. No, he messaged me that he
That's it,
headshot
that's it.
Edison or something.
Sojourn Duel of Legends, Edison versus Yonko. It's amazing.
he gapped him twice. Maybe we might.
Maybe
if-
like
if-
speed goes to like prey on one of the matches and forgot to come, then like Yunko will play.
Hey, as long as you have
It's a-
speed in, I like your chances against basically anybody. That kid is a menace, and I think him being able to play more, like a bit more flex DPS stuff, like the Genji and stuff like that, will, I think, really let him show his mechanics a lot. Because last year he played more hit scan because he was with Who Are You. You're not gonna put Who Are You
Yeah.
on Sojourn, so a very strong roster. I really like your team. I think CARU was like a really obvious signing for flex support. Great,
Yeah,
great decision there. I really commend that. He's a very talented player.
probably the best support we could have gotten,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, like
Uh,
at that with who was available. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like their DPS line because Joe and Speed, they both kind of play a bit more. They both kind of play a bit of both roles, like hit scan affects DPS, and that's really good in this hero bands meta, right? You see the advantages of teams like Falcons. They just swap like whoever's like in this meta, like who should play hit scan and flex DPS. You don't really know. I mean, like Speed kind of leans towards more hit scan, and Joe kind of leans towards flex DPS, but like they both kind of like fear each other, right? So they're kind of like unbannable in that sense. Yeah.
yeah. Both players I know for being quite aggressive at times with their gameplay.
Yeah,
As
maybe
you
Joe a
can-
bit too aggressive, right, Joel? Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean,
What's
Yeah,
what's
Iris-
being referenced here?
I mean,
Iris
Joel coached
Firewall.
him in 3-1 diving.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
I was-
You coach. Yeah, you coached that team. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. High risk, high reward for both Speed and Joe. I feel like they can put up some crazy plays, but they have moments where might look like a bit of a throw if team synergy is not there. So yeah, I think I like their DPS players quite a bit actually. So
yeah.
yeah,
That's
I'd hate
definitely
to
part
be
of the
playing
fun.
against them.
Yeah. Should be some...
Speed last stage kind of took it to another level, I think. Because I think he was mainly just like a tracer player, but then he put a bit more work into Ash. And yeah, it was quite good to see.
Yeah, I really think this Full House squad has the potential to make top 2. I think
Hopefully they do.
I
If not,
think
like-
it's definitely like possible. I think there's sort
You know,
of
they actually cursed
I think
because
there's
3-1
like
diving
4...
got third, right? Full House got third, and then if Full House gets third again, maybe Spook's
one
the
map.
issue, no? He always gets third.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe
it definitely.
Spook is
I think
cursed.
there's definitely like, and we can maybe discuss general kind of power tiers at the end. But I think there's probably sort of a top 4 and a bottom 4. But I think within that there's definitely a decent bit of variance. So Ryan, we got to talk about your squad. You have put together, well, okay, it's a little bit less of a Pacific Super team now. I think in the first version, it kind of was an attempt at sort of a Pacific Super
Amen.
team. The long awaited, but then Raymomo left and Ace. I'm not sure what his current status is, but
Marvel.
Are Ace and is Ace sort of taking a step back? Is he not going to be really in the starting lineup?
I mean, okay, like coming to this year, maybe I think I told you before, I really wanted to create like the Pacific Super team. Like an ideal roster would be like High Vision, Ace, Soggy, R3K, Pali, Raymomo, right? Because
Yeah.
I felt like last like
That's what you had,
like,
right? At some point.
this year, like I felt like if I thought that originally I thought there would be Korean lands, so like 3 Korean lands, maybe 1 EWC. I thought like with a full Pacific roster, like the synergy will be really good. We don't have to worry about communication or anything. Like we get the ability to like punch up to one of the international teams, right? Because I think last season, like for Def and Bleak, a lot of our problems maybe came with communication. Okay, maybe not so much stage 2. I feel like stage 2 was smooth, but we didn't really have that same punching power when it came to like upsetting the Korean teams, right? So this year I wanted to make like a full Pacific Super team, and I feel like that this year, if any year, was the year to do it because like both Def and Honeypot kind of dissolved, so like it wasn't really separate anymore. We could merge, right? And we wanted to merge,
Right.
but High Vision decided after the Bleak contract, after we like low key got scammed, but then we got paid anyways. Like High Vision decided to just like pack it up because I think he's going to US to study later this year, so he doesn't just wants to chill for now.
Mhm.
And then if not High Vision, maybe like Yoshinori, but Yoshinori also doesn't really want to compete anymore. He just wants to enjoy life in high school, whatever, and just like play football, I guess. And then yeah, so we did have like the 5 that you said in PCA for a while, but Ray Momo and Raymond just completely left for Marvel. I think Ace is still on the fence. He still doesn't know whether he wants to play Overwatch or Marvel. Right now, he's playing a lot less Overwatch and maybe a bit more Marvel. But like, I talked to him, and I think he might come back in the future. But for now, he's just a sub. And if anything, because like Soggy has maybe some schedule constraints because of his situation. I mean, Ace is always like a really good sub. I mean, Ace can play tank, Ace can play support, Ace can play DPS. Is a good flex sub, and uh, Akame is just there as a second emergency sub. I mean, Akame is retired, right? So I would still say he's retired. He's just there in case we need him because like
Right.
uh yeah,
So
he's
like
there in the roster.
Ace is the sixth man, and then Kame is the emergency sub, sort of.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Kame doesn't need to like come to scrims or anything. He's just really there. He's just an emergency fail safe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like Full House, you also have a tank on ping. Except this time it's a player from Asia playing in Europe instead of a player from Europe playing in Europe. As Rec
Yeah.
R3 John Pork is attending university in the United Kingdom, right? Also going to be on pretty high ping, right? Or at least for the whole tournament, probably.
Mm. Yeah. So for R3K, I think our core, you can definitely say is Soggy, Pali, R3K. So if we play throughout the whole year, it'll probably be stick with these three local players, right? I don't really think there'll be any changes about that unless someone doesn't want to play. And I think for R3K, he'll probably be back to low ping at around stage 2, just
Right,
for
for the
this
summer, yeah.
year, maybe stage 1. He has to finish his university in UK. But I think like this stage is fine because honestly, every team is taking it chill because there are like land opportunities for stage 2 and stage 3 are not confirmed, right? So maybe like when that happens, like teams will lock in. But this stage, I think teams aren't really scrimming as much. Like Miku Fan Club isn't really scrimming at all. My team's not really scrimming that much. Full House maybe a bit and here and there, and EXO as well. So I think it's just chilling. So I think it's fine.
Yeah. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go in depth on Zessen, but a player that really impressed me when he played in Japan last year. Very skilled player. So let's talk about Aniyun. I know she was trialing for teams in like Japan and Pacific, was on Full House for the Pro Chaser Association qualifiers, and then you decided to bring her in as Ray Momo's replacement. So what motivated that pickup? Why'd you decide to use one of your precious import spots on an American player who's in Asia currently visiting family, I believe?
I mean, when Rimomo left, we had to get a new flex support replacement. And we knew it definitely had to be an import because there are no other flex support options in Pacific, right? Because even Full House has an import flex support, and a lot of teams import flex support. So we definitely knew either we had to import a flex support or import a main support and let Pali go back flex support. But I think at this point in time, Pali just wants to like ride it out on main support. So we're definitely looking at Korean options. But I feel like the Korean options like um, aren't really like that. They aren't at the level where like they can like hard carry us. It's not like Maka last season, you know. They just I feel like Anyun maybe like and with Anyun like communication is not an issue at all. Maybe with Koreans like communication might be an issue. But we felt like this year like we don't really have a lot of budget to like I think a lot of the Korean players they do want salary or like and this year a lot of the Korean flex supports either they're in Korea or they're in other regions like NAEU, so they want a lot of options. The only options available I felt like they were at an okay level but not at a level where they can just like hard carry us, you know, like Maka last year. And I think this stage we're taking things a bit more chill. There are less scrims and the vibes are more casual, right? So there aren't really a lot of like scrims to iron out like potential issues that might come from importing a Korean, such as like communication issues and whatnot.
Right.
And I feel like since this year we're more like casual team, we can just bring in Aniyun because Aniyun is her skill is not like her skill is like pretty good also. I mean she's played under NYXL for like a year under good coaching. So she's definitely pretty good. She wouldn't have lost in terms of gameplay to the Korean flex supports we would have tried. And I think there'll be no communications issues at all because she's American. She speaks perfect English, of course, and she's very happy to play with us, and she's been fitting the team environment well so far. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely a very exciting pickup. I know a lot of people were really waiting to hear were waiting to hear where she would end up, especially when they heard that she was looking at teams in Asia. Is she going to be in Korea for the entirety of stage one, or is she going to be going back to North America at some point?
Yeah, for stage one, she'll be in Korea.
Okay. It'd be pretty rough if you had one person on ping from Europe and one person on ping from North America. That could get kind of rough on the server.
Yeah, I think this stage was definitely a lot weaker than both 99 Divine and Lead at the end of last season. It's kind of a reset in our region where like the power level has gone down a lot. Like other than like last year we easily could beat Japan. I think even Full House last year when they scrimmed Japan could easily beat them. But during the off season, Japan has leveled up a lot in terms of import they got. They've been scrimming a lot every day. Most of the Pacific teams have gotten a bit like less serious because of a lot of the changes recently. So hopefully we are able to win Pacific, and I think our goal for this year is just maybe win Japan, but like that's been the goal every year, so it gets kind of boring.
Yeah, it'll definitely be. I mean, even saw last year, like Lazuli kind of took 99 Divine to the limit in a way that not, and Varel whooped.
Yeah.
Granted, it was the fourth place team from Pacific because Full House dropped out. But they
It is what it is. I
um,
mean, Japan is on a crazy upward trend, and Pacific is on a like downward trend season by season. So like,
yeah.
if this year Japan still can't win a game from Pacific, I think that's not even our issue. At that point, it's theirs. So
The reason's just cooked.
they definitely should win us. They definitely should win us this stage. Like I don't be like fucking ego and like say we're gonna roll them like this year too, because I feel like it's definitely at an equal level now. I mean, last year honestly it was at equal level too. I think like on match day itself we just played better, especially in stage 2.
Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about Joel. I feel like I haven't directed as many questions to you, and I apologize for that, but we are finally on your team. This is sort of OCE's flag bearer in Pacific now that Australia has been reintroduced. This is Antic x Odium, who are an Australian organization competing in, I think, at least one or two other games, like maybe Pokemon Unite. I think I saw on their Twitter.
League of Legends, I think.
Yeah, maybe Rocket
League
or
of
something.
Legends.
I just remember looking at their Twitter and seeing that they were giving away a Pokemon thing, and I was like, oh yeah, Pokemon Unite. I played that like once. But they do also have Lumi, who obviously Ryan and Overshake, you guys are very familiar with him, and we'll talk about him in a moment. But this team is the core of Mud Dog, who won the last season of OCE Faceit League. They won season 2 of OCE Faceit League. Kind of once the punk like new team sort of went away and they went back into their caverns. Mud Dog, you guys kind of asserted yourselves as sort of the top team in the region with a core that had been together for a little while, going back to like the previous year. Sort of that core of like, I think really the core of the back line with Jay and Netra. I say as I'm about to put on a clip on the screen here that's neither of those support players. It's a montage from Sectar, but that's the one I could find. So yeah, Joel, tell us about these players. How did this roster come together? What are your strengths? Who should we be looking out for?
Well, as you said, like this team's been together for a very long time. They've been probably the best team in Australia for a couple seasons of Faceit, so it's no surprise that they've found themselves here. And for a lot of those players, they're well deserved. We picked up Sectar recently, so he's the new addition to the team. We picked him up because we just needed a bit more balance with our supports, with our flexibility, especially with the patches that were dropping and the bans. Like we needed someone to fill some of the gaps. So I guess that's kind of why we picked up Sectar. But as you alluded to, Lumi's got experience coming from DAF, and he's come play tank for us as well. So it's kind of back. He's played tank for a while. He played main support on DAF, but it's good to have him lead the comms in that regard. And the 3 DPS, I think the main strength of this team is like flexibility with, we one face it with Hypnotic on tank, and our backline can pretty much play anything, and our DPS can pretty much play anything as well. So we're quite confident we have a very flexible hero pool. But the question is, can we compete internationally? Because we have done so in Australia for pretty well, but this is a new breed, and we haven't been scrimming that much up until now, so it'll be good to see.
Yeah, my attention is definitely drawn to OLAM, who's actually on that Miku Fan Club team that qualified for Overwatch League Opens with Neuu and Romani and Frogger. And I think I've really impressed a lot of people at that tournament. I think when they beat one of the Chinese teams, I think he got player of the match. That just sticks with me because that was a pretty big deal, knocking out that Chinese squad. And so looking at your team, like I think Lumi returning to like a full-time tank position to me seems like the biggest sort of make or break of how he'll kind of be able to return to playing that full-time, because obviously Ryan, you had him on Lucio, and then you had him on the bench. So Joel, how has he been like kind of readjusting to that role as being the guy on tank?
I feel like if anyone was going to make themselves the guy, it'd be Lumi probably. So, he from a comp perspective, I think him being on tank makes more sense. I think the issue with the roster in the past has been like in match day, if something doesn't go their way, they still they take a while to figure out how things go. But now Lumi's back in, and he's able to steer the ship a bit more in game and kind of give suggestions on what they need to do in game. So that's been a kind of good addition to have him on tank. So it's not surprised. Like, he's still a really good Queen player. He still knows what to do. And obviously the new hero has it coming out. So we've been trying to learn that patch. So yeah, I think from a communication perspective, like, he's been really good for the team. There's a lot of friendly banter and it goes around, but I think that's quite healthy for the team sometimes. I think.
What kind of banter do you mean?
Oh, because they're all friends, so they like to hash out their ideas in very unique ways. So it's quite good.
There's always banter with Lumi.
Yeah, yeah, but I think Lumi's good for the team for that reason.
I feel so bad for Lumi.
Some of our viewers who follow more North American stuff might be a little bit familiar with Jay. I think they played in like a Calling All Heroes tournament or two. Might know the name from there, but some players who have been kind of getting better and better with every tournament in OCE over the last couple of years, and as some of the old guard have gone away, I think these are sort of the new top dogs, and it'll be really cool to see, kind of how you guys do against 99 Divine, against Full House, because we didn't really get to see any OCE teams play, many teams from Asia or Japan last year. I mean, it was the Greatest Showman getting scammed out of their money by makers at EWC with Colourhex on Junkrat against Twisted Minds. Like, not exactly the best representation of the region as a whole in terms of its power level. But now it is time to discuss what I think might be the oddest team in this tournament, potentially the weirdest. This team, all the other teams we've discussed kind of have sort of one primary nationality or one primary region. Like Full House and 99 Divine are primarily SEA, Fate Altair is Thai, MENG is Hong Kong, Taiwan, Trap 12 and Antic and Miku are primarily OCE. And then you have MONSTARGEAR Gaming, who is sort of a salad of players from all sorts of different countries. There's a lot going on here. Those of you watching at home, you guys can't see it here on the Zoom, but I'm going to share the amazing roster reveal video that Mememachine made in the style of the Virtus Pro roster reveal. A brilliant parody, some would say a cinematic masterpiece. First of all, shout out MONSTARGEAR, the keyboard company. Buy their stuff, support a company that's willing to put a little bit of support into Pacific Overwatch at a time when not that many other people are. So shout outs to them for supporting the team. Thank you all for joining me. It's been a pleasure. Best of luck in Stage 1. Like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. Follow everybody in Pacific on Twitter. They're all great. Y'all are the best. Take care.